have scenario level questions directly. Okay.
Okay.
So, hi Vishal. First of all, myself Mayur. I am SD3 DevOps over here, handling all the spheres of deployments and all types of platforms on-prem, AWS, cloud, and everything. We are very much cost centric, and recently for this quarter, we have dwelled in and built a infra where we have reduced around 80 to 90 lakhs. So we are very much cost centric. We are also planning some new transformations, which is in trending with the technology like schema registry, where we have very much to work upon Kafka in real time data driven systems. Upon that, we are a team of six over here with two junior dev, two SD2, one SD3, and one with lead. And obviously, the folks are from here from different spheres of fintech, and especially Deepak, Vibhor, and all those. So all of them are from different spheres where they have contributed to the real-time payment system, especially NPCI, then Bharat Pay. Just one second. Cool. So recently we are very much dwelled upon platform as a service. We have taken up different banks as well, like Indian Bank and different PSUs are also getting onboarded, where you go and deploy our platform as a service over there. So that involves very much accuracy because since the data, whatever we need in fintech, has to be in compliance with RBI. So we have introduced abroad as well, like Singapore, Indonesia, and we are also expanding to Jakarta right now. Cool. So this was about the thing, and we are very much, as I told you, cost centric, and we rely on completely on open source. In fact, except our logging mechanism, we are completely on open source logging mechanism in AWS, which we need. And yeah, this was about the thing. And we have very much hefty things to be planned for this 6 months down the line, where what we have achieved in cost of infra, we have gained the confidence to reduce much more. Okay.
Okay.
So this was about me. Vishal, go on with your introduction, and we'll have some dwell on upon your whatever you have done right now, and we'll have some scenario-based questions. Simple.
Thanks, Mayur. Thanks for the opportunity, first of all, and I'm very pleased to know about the tech stack and the work like the organization do, as like it's on the majorly on the open source side. So I do work on the open source solutions as well because uh, the main thing is cost, which incurred a lot by the cloud providers or the managed enterprises. So
Mm-hmm.
coming to about myself, so yep, I'm Vishal. I'm born and raised in Kanpur. I'm having around 3 years of hands-on experience working along with both startups and large-scale environments. So coming
Mm-hmm.
to them, I have worked on the healthcare AI integration part. Then I have worked on the fintech. Then on the travel and tourism part as well for the enterprises. Now
Okay.
I specialize in like building and automating the in cloud infrastructure. I have worked on AWS and Azure, and with
Mm-hmm.
that I have a specialization in Terraform for provisioning our infrastructure for the cloud resources.
Mm-hmm.
And for scalability of our application, we have included container orchestration on Kubernetes, where we have deployed our application, like packaging them in a Docker format, then deploying in the Kubernetes, then
Mm-hmm.
managing the resources in the Kubernetes, like the deployments we have, the ingress, managing all the resources, whatever is deployed in the Kubernetes, taking the ownership of high availability of the application, and in case of any of the failure we have to manage the application. Then for the automation part, I have worked on the CI/CD pipeline automation, where I have worked extensively with the Jenkins. I have worked with GitHub Actions, but majorly I have worked with Jenkins as it was an open source tool. So I have configured the Jenkins from the scratch, installing the Jenkins on the server, then making the pipelines for the microservices. Now coming to my like current role, like I manage the cloud cost optimization, the infrastructure scalability, and like the reliability of my application. Sorry for that. For my application. So the main thing are like these are the things where like I generally work, and if any ad hoc task or any of the requirements comes, so I am the other DevOps engineer to work on.
Okay, can you give your last three scenario or last three pointers? What you have done to reduce your cloud cost?
Okay, so like from if from the beginning, if I say like I have like created like sort of a Python script which is having the easy CLI initialization, which we run using Jenkins file, where
Mm-hmm.
not during the non-peak hours we just shut down all the instances, virtual machines, whatever is running in our cloud when the developers are not. That is for the stage and the dev environment, that too in the non-peak hours or not in the non-working hours. Then second, we were using few of the managed services from the Azure itself. Like we have the application inside where we used to check for the tracing of our application, like for the APIs from where the traffic is coming. That is a sort of managed services provided by the Azure. But like as this service was incurring us a lot of cost to us, so we have implemented Grafana Tempo. Like it is a part of Grafana only. So like for the tracing part, we have implemented the Tempo for tracing, and this is for the monitoring team and there are developers as well. So implementing Tempo like led us to stop the or not to use the application inside, which was incurring us a lot of cost. So using
Mm-hmm.
this, we have implemented the cost. Now the third most thing which I have implemented recently are like we for auto scaling, we have implemented the auto scaler groups in the cloud side as well. But coming specifically to the Kubernetes, I have implemented like we earlier we were using the horizontal pod auto scaler to make sure our application scales. But it was a challenge for us also for maintaining the performance of the application and keeping the cost as well in the mind. So in that we have implemented Keda for that, where we have given the particular not on the resources, not on the RAM or CPU resources, but on the number of API calls. So in this the application scaling was fast, and before we were just given a random 3x of the pods which were running. But while implementing Keda, we had a particular a thorough performance execution of our application. Got to know like with the number of how many numbers of the users are there, so how many traffic it should be handling. So like these are the scenarios where we got to know, like during the analysis we got to know, okay, this is the particular number of resources which is required. So we implemented Keda. So earlier it was like unscattered HPAs were given. Post the performance test execution, we got to know a clear glimpse of our application at the load, at the pit log, what are the resources that will be consumed. So we have implemented Keda for that. So only the time have the peak hours our application scales. Post that the automatically degrade of the pods happens. So help us in the code optimization as well. There are also like a few of the things where we have implemented the cost optimization, like the storage accounts. We have there's three buckets in AWS, and the storage accounts, maintaining them like not taking unused resources, deletion of the unused resources. Like these are the practices which we follow for the cost.
Okay. So talking about your Grafana tempo, I want to highlight a point where what were the exporters did you use from applications to exporting them in your platform?
Like we were like using the like initially we have the hotel which we implemented for the open telemetry. Then coming to the exporters, we were having the Prometheus Grafana exporter initially. Whenever initially when we have implemented Grafana, we have deployed the Prometheus exporter. So it was like a scraping the matrix. So using the ingress of that particular microservice, we were using the node exporter in that. And that CA
Okay.
advisor is already implemented using the creation of the Kubernetes cluster. So like these are the two common like exporters we have implemented for Grafana and Prometheus.
Okay. Cadvisor is used for containers, right? For Docker containers.
Yeah, it's specifically for the containers for the RAM and CPU size. But for the matrices, especially for the APIs, we have implemented the node exporter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So could you help me in designing a multi-tenant EKS cluster with isolation across dev, QA, and prod, and there should be no noisy neighbors. Can
Uh,
you help
yep. Can you please come again? Like I got the glimpse of that. Can you please come again?
design a multi-tenant EKS cluster and there should be isolation across dev, QA, and prod, and there should be no noisy neighbors. No noisy neighbors in the sense there should be no interaction amongst them.
Okay, so do I have to create from the scratch?
Yeah. Just tell me the how the subnetting would be, what will be in the data layer, what you will have in your application layer, what things you will keep in private subnet, what things you will keep in public subnet, and what APIs or what gateways you will use.
Okay, so like initially while setting up the cluster, like I'll be like implementing Terraform, and like I'll be using a modular approach for the dev stage and prod environment. Now, like I'm sorry. Now
It's okay.
like I have to like implement for all the three dev stage and prod. So while configuring, like I'll be like giving the .tf.was file or the tf.was file to do the like for the variables and the naming convention. Now particularly like what will be coming to the now coming to data layer, logic layer. So I'll be like keeping the front end in the public subnet. I'll be having two subnets, specifically one in the public subnet and the other one will be the private subnet.
Mhm.
So my front end or my other application layer will be hosted on the public subnet, where the traffic will be where there will be the public facing traffic. Now, like the endpoint or the
You're
end.
saying, so you're saying your EKS will be in the public subnet?
No, no, no.
So how will you connect your EKS with your outside world?
Sorry.
How will you connect? How will you provide the connectivity between the client and your internal private subnet? Suppose if I hit a particular abc.com, where it should land and then where it should go.
We will be using the ingress, so like to like access the external APIs or any of the S3 or APIs, the Kubernetes API. We'll be using that. So
Okay, so that ingress would be pointing to which managed service of AWS or anything.
uh, can you like again?
Okay, so understand this point. I hit abc.com. Okay, it will not land directly to the pod, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so what in between you will keep so that it accesses your UI pod, which is the front end. I just need the path in between. What will be the in between path?
Oh,
I mean, in terms of infra, what you will deploy so that it is in terms of security, it goes to your UI pod, which is running in your prod namespace.
like it will going to the pointing to the load balancer for the cloud if I'm using the AWS, yeah, or the Azure. Yeah.
Cool. And if where you will be terminating your SSL, at which layer you think the SSL should terminate correctly?
Okay, so for the SSL part, like mm, for like in an initial phase, right?
Initial, like suppose if I hit, obviously the data will go in the form of encrypted. Okay. Now, where will I keep my certificate so that the termination for that encryption is taking place? Either should I keep on load balancer, either should I keep on NLPs, either should I keep on my target groups, or directly on entire nodes, or through the service port or something. Where should I keep this?
Okay,
According to you, I'm asking.
like for the specific for the SSL, right?
Yeah.
Like
Obviously, I'll have my data in terms of HTTPS. My HTTPS comes in place. Okay. That HTTPS will be verified at one place. Okay. Where it will be verified? That's what I'm asking.
so like for all those like SSL creation or the renewal, like keep ahead for the renewal part, like for the creation, like we were using the ACM, and like we attached that a particular ACM to that load balancer for the application balancer we
Okay.
have in
What you've
Node.js.
done, this is what I wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, since you told you have a load balancer, you have a SSL termination, From the load balancer, you will provide your target groups to your nodes. Correct? Now, if you have your ingress, that ingress is attached to your load balancer. Okay, and you're getting access to your website. Like I am the client, I'm accessing your website through a particular domain. Okay. Now
Yeah.
suppose I have an Nginx in between and it is throwing 403. What do you mean by this?
Okay, so 4.3 is like forbidden. Uh, uh, Before that, using not using the Nginx, it was like working fine. Like especially for the Nginx. Like I have to check the configuration of the like Nginx configuration. Like initially, like I have to like check what all the thing I have to check. Now I have to check the load balancer controller, like creation of the like the load balancer configuration. What exactly is in the load balancer for the configuration? The listeners for the Nginx controller, where it is exactly listening, like the endpoint and along with the port.
The configuration is okay. The configuration seems fine, what you're telling. But still the same issue. What will you check in AWS?
Configuration is same. The endpoint is also same, but still okay. They have the like health checks or the target group health. I'll be checking.
Or routes also you might check.
Yes, routes of all the tables. Like initially, while defining the route tables, we will be checking the particular group will be pointing to.
Nginx is forwarding. So it's simple. First check the routes, whether the routes is completely given or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Now everything is deployed and everything. Now let's come to a scenario where I have node groups, 5 node groups I have. And what I see this, if I keep on-demand instances, my cost is suppose 10x. I mean, 10x is the entire cost. Okay. Now, your seniors told you to keep a ratio of 60-40, like 60 on demand, 40 on spot. Okay. How will you do this?
Okay. Like earlier, like when the cost was 10x, like it was like all the things were on the on demand, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like specifically like I'll be choosing like 4 node groups. Like if I was having 5, I'll be choosing 4 node groups, all 3 node groups for the on demand, and like we'll be having the 2 spot instances at the time of the peak load. So it will be maintaining a ratio of 60-40, where like I can choose this scenario where the 2 node groups which will be like uh, on spot, and the 3 node groups will be running on the demand instances which are on the node type. So here like the 2 spot groups that can be interrupted, or that can be have a lag while setting up, but the 3 node groups are already like always available. But to make sure that the cost is like to just to manage the cost, we will be using that 3 on demand
Okay.
instances.
Okay. I understood your point. Now, suppose you have 5 node groups. You're telling you will segregate the node groups on 60 and 40 like this. But my question is like in specific node group, I want a 60-40 segregation. Are you understanding my point?
Okay, I mean, like throughout all I mean all the single node groups I should be having.
Yeah.
Uh,
Where will you implement this? Where you will do in AWS? Just tell me that. It's okay. Like if you don't give the logic also, I just need the place where you will do in AWS.
okay, where I can manage in the AWS.
Okay, cool enough, no problem. Okay, you'll have specific auto scaling groups where you have to embed there. Okay,
Okay, okay.
understood?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, there is one more scenario question. Just understand this carefully. Now, AWS gives you a EKS managed Kubernetes cluster. Okay.
Yeah.
On premise, I hope you have worked on premise.
Yes.
Okay. In on premise, you have specific set of fixed nodes. Okay. In EKS, we can manage on demand. Capacity demand is managed from their side. Okay. Like we have to just specify the numbers, rest they can manage. Now, whenever a pod is scheduled on either AWS, on either on on-prem, okay, there is always a specific file structure a pod creates inside overlay FS. Okay, so in overlay FS, this is a overlay file system of specific pods. It gives you a layers of file system. It is in random hexadecimal number. Okay, okay. Now understand this carefully. This is present in varlib kubelet folder if you go and check. So every pod will have their own file system in terms of layers. That layering is terms of in hexadecimal numbers. Okay. Now, if a pod is getting scheduled, AWS is managing that space because if you have 100 pods scheduled on a node, there can be n number of file system in overlay FS folder. Okay. File system in hexadecimal format, I'm saying. Now, in your kubelet directory, you have 50 GB of space. Okay. In AWS, it's managed because AWS, it will just remove its own that node and it will schedule the other nodes. It will schedule the pods and other nodes. That is their internal mechanism. But on-prem, you can't because you have fixed number of nodes. How can you manage this? How can you manage? Okay, suppose there is a node with a 50 GB of space on Kube, and they have a 100 or many pods running. Suddenly, you see that there is a disk pressure on nodes. Why? Because of overlay FS files getting filled. Because the hexadecimal naming convention of different pods has filled the space. What you will do on on-prem nodes to clear that?
Okay, so specifically for on-prem where like I'll be managing the disk size. So like for the local disk, I may I have to clean up the directory which is the varlib
Kubelet.
kubelet where is the container D files which are like I have to clean up the space for the file tuning during
But
several specifically during the several intervals.
but those file systems are interlinked to each other. Understood. If you delete one of the layer files, the pod will go. Its data, its volume, the pod will go. How can you manage this?
So like any sort of the function like implementing or cron for the old images for the pods.
No.
Okay.
There's there's a I mean there's a tool for this. Okay. In
Okay.
Kubelet, you have to edit a space known as image GCC threshold. Okay.
Okay, C3 threshold. Like I have like heard of that, but I haven't worked on that particularly for the project. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'm
At
noting
least
it down.
you have the gist. So that's why this is the main reason why people prefer cloud rather than on-prem. Okay.
Okay.
Keep a note of this
Yeah,
because
definitely.
this is the major thing. Now, how we are managing, we here, what we are doing, we are running the cron of quickctl, rm minus whatever the dead containers are there. And also we have given the threshold limit of image GCC on kubelet. So
Okay.
that's why since touchwood, since 2 to 3 months, the on-prem is running over here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm, Now suppose a new AWS ALB is configured, okay, and it is causing TLS handshakes to fail intermittently. Okay, what could be your RC on this? What do you think? What's the reason?
Like for all the configurations related things, right?
Yeah, a new just simple ALB एक नया ALB कॉन्फ़िगर हुआ, उसके TLS हैंडशेक फेल हो रहे हैं इंटरमिटेंटली. तुम्हारे हिसाब से क्या हो सकता है? क्या इशू आ सकती है?
Like
क्या हमारा आरसी हो सकता है
okay.
इंफ्रा को सोचते हुए?
Okay, so first like SSL check करूँगा like it is having a valid SSL certificate or not. Then
हम्म.
the configuration we map that particular certificate to the ACN.
हम्म.
Sorry, the ARN template which you have. Then the region of the load balancer and the region which I am using, if there any of the latency issue, like it should be in the same region. Then
हम्म.
then we have the listeners and
हम्म.
like first like for the ALB like it is like sometimes it is like having a lag, like not the immediate TLS failure, but it or sometimes it shows it does not show anything. I mean it just shows the invalid certificate. Like these are the scenarios which come. But the thing where I need to check is like especially for the health checks, the backend groups, the target groups are like configured correctly or not. The port specifically we use 443 for the HTTPS.
हम्म.
Then
Okay, cool enough. Okay. Now suppose your Terraform backend, your Terraform state got corrupted during a backend migration.
okay,
So what will be your strategy to rebuild this?
okay. So this was a like scenario like recently I worked on. So like we were using the we were storing the remote file back in the S3 bucket, and like we were implementing the new DR strategy, DR implementation for our application. So like during that, our main the on-prem, not on the on-prem, like the main state file which is for which was we were using for the prod was corrupted. So like initially like it was like a sort of trouble, but like we enabled versioning in our S3 bucket. So we
Hmm.
were having the older release for like any new state file which we have, it creates a new file, and we will be having the records for the old files as well. So, like enabling the versioning of that particular state file. So using that still file, we have the particular backup of that the infra which we are having, and we just run that Terraform again using Terraform apply for that particular file, which is just before the corruption of the state file. So that manages the infra again, which were before.
Okay. Uh, okay. Now, suppose systemd, have you heard of systemd?
Yes, it is a service on Linux.
Systemd journal logs is vanished after a reboot on some AMIs. Okay. What do you check in the image build and boot sequence? What will you check?
Like for which, for any of the services or only for the system D? Like
Only for the systemd.
okay, the general CTL command will not be showing if the system reboots.
Mhm.
Like is it specifically for any of the command?
Yeah, any of the command.
Like we use the general CTL command and using its particular flag.
Now, suppose that's what the journal CTL logs for system logs. Only for system logs, suppose. I'm taking an example. Is vanished after a reboot on some AMIs, across some AMIs. Okay.
Okay.
What will you check in the image build or any of the boot sequence?
I'm not having idea on this. Like, but I can definitely work, but not having idea on this. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Suppose your clients, I mean your production users, are reporting 504. Okay. 504 on any of your services. but your ELB health checks are green, everything is passing. What will be your triaging process to debug this?
Okay, means there are no 4 nodes error, there are 5 nodes error, 504 in terms of error, and health checks are also good. Okay. Any we timeout error, it might be any of the request taking a lot more, and it is popping up the timeout error for the end user. And
Okay, one could be the issue. But how will you identify that request?
I can like check in the like if I'm having a particular service which is failing 504, I can check in the events why it is getting failed, like what is the host and where it is, why it is not getting resolved, like target response time. I can check the target response, it is coming to the response or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, suppose you have thousands of API. All of your internal APIs, when you are using internally, it's working fine, but from outside, it's failing. You will check all the 1,000 APIs.
No.
Then, what will be your procedure on this?
All are working fine, and what's the procedure of this? We like while implementing these services, like we will be having one endpoint for the health checks, where for the select you use the slash health endpoint for checking up whichever the services are like hitting or not, or whichever services are successfully coming or not. So we can get like in the dashboard, we can check that in the Grafana dashboard, like what are the services which are failing. And like we like for this for a similar scenario, like we were having a script where we doing the curl request for all our application backend and endpoint, so it was returning the things which are failing. So like these are the like that we did using this script, but not particularly for one of the service which is failing.
Okay, cool enough. Okay, but how will you at the end resolve that? How will you isolate that and make that API available?
Okay, so like how will I make that available? So like depending upon the service, like if I got to know like which service is like getting five or four or any of 5 or 5, like we need to like check like what there can be like uh, multiple scenario, like is the API is like responding slow, or it is not pointing
Mhm.
to the correct backend, or is there like as you already mentioned, like the load balancer configuration is like good, but still will need to recheck what exactly is defined in the load balancer. The target group is exactly the same, which is need to be configured. Like yep, these
Okay.
are the things like in
So
the
suppose LB configuration is working fine, everything is working fine.
okay, then
And suppose you're triaging, you're not able to triage. What will be your immediate strategy? I mean, okay, triaging requires time. I'm not saying you're not able to triage, but your triaging requires time around, suppose 2 hours, 3 hours. But how will you immediately make things available to the users? Suppose it's a real time. Uh, Suppose it's an airline ticketing booking system. If it goes on for an hour, there'll be a millions of loss. Okay, how will you manage this? What will be your uh, thinking on this so that everything is available to the user, but still, if there is an issue in your main environment, you are going to debug and fix it. But how will you make things available? Have you heard the concept of DR, PRDR?
DR I have, yes, I have worked.
That's what I was asking. You'll immediately shift traffic to DR and then you will debug
Okay,
and then
so
you. Please shift gear.
Okay, for any of the real time, like if we are having facing any of the in DC, like we will strictly diverting the traffic to the DR, where we are already having the replica of that particular current environment. We'll be
Yes.
like giving the client or to the customer a time or a window where we will be fixing the issues. Like we'll be addressing them, but there will be no downtime for our application because we have already implemented a DR, and all the data and the updation of the new requests, the new tickets, or the new resources will be getting updated in a DR. And as soon as the DC goes up, we get a hard fix. Then we will be like shifting the traffic back to the DC, and the replication of the data happens in the DR and DC. So we are having the data as well, and now the new releases with the fixed version of our application for that particular microservice. Like
Okay.
especially for the DR, I was thinking about how to implement that. There will be scenarios how to fix for like n number of issues. So like not for a DR, but yep, if we are having the DR, then we will be like shifting the traffic so that the application won't have any hindrance, and we will be working on the DC part to fix that particular microservice.
Okay. Now suppose your Terraform apply command is showing no drift, nothing, no changes. Okay.
Okay.
But suddenly what happens after Terraform apply? Your traffic routing changes unexpectedly. Okay.
Okay.
Traffic routing changes unexpectedly. Now I think you might have imagined traffic routing in the sense where I'm talking about.
Yep.
Okay. What will be your thinking on this? What do you think? What might have changed?
Okay, so like I like redo the Terraform apply. Like it should be showing me the same, no changes to created, like this.
Yeah, Terraform apply shows no changes created, but there is a drift in the routing. Your traffic routing is changed. Okay, unexpectedly. How it happened? That's what my question is. What it could be? Just a scenario based. So,
Okay.
what you're thinking goes on this?
Any of the resources like for the routing specifically, so the route tables may get changed, but it is not managed using Terraform. So any any manual intervention to the AWS route tables.
Yeah, might be possible. But all of your teammates have only read access to your Terraform infra. Then, sorry, on your AWS console.
Okay, I need to check again, like just like us for the RC, like I'll be checking again the states, Terraform states, whatever resources are deployed in Terraform. Like
But what will be your immediate action? Will you revert the changes?
like reverting those changes will be like changing all the things which were not in the part of the previous list, that will be happening. But like that's can be done, but they have to like we have to make a discussion like whether we need to go back to that particular release or not. That, as I said, like we will be having the versioning for that state file for the previous release as well, so we can go. But specifically for the routes, like we can check the domain where, or like the traffic is changing, we can check the domain where it is pointing out.
Mhm.
Can check the route 53 service where all the traffic is like we have the route tables defined in the route 53 as well, so we can check why exactly is checking the key values, all the things are up. Like there will be definitely a misconfiguration in the cloud side. If not in the Terraform, then we need to fix it and then reapply the Terraform.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Have you worked on GPU nodes?
Sorry.
Have you worked on GPU nodes?
GPU. I have worked on the GPU, but not in my recent project. But yes, for scaling, I have implemented on the GPU part as well.
Okay, how do you scale GPU nodes for training workloads only? Any without wasting any GPU hours for any of the idle pods?
Like we have like given amount of the number of threshold like the users, like we have given 60% of the users for the particular node of the GPU, then it will
Mhm.
be like creating a new replica again for particular pod. So it was for the scaling specifically, and that was implemented using KDA.
Okay, okay. So
And
how do
for
you
that
configure?
particularly,
How do you?
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
go
yes.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
And that for like for application that was in the other node pool, that was specifically for the GPUs as well, not for our application. Our application was running, but for our AI agents to run on on our application software, we have that GPU, that particular pod runs on the GPU nodes, and that GPU node scale, and that was like a, that was not isolated, but that was created in the new node pool, where we have created one or two nodes depending upon the requirement or that particular client, and like to scale that GPU nodes we use at Koda. So like just
Okay.
just yeah.
How will you configure Kubernetes stains and toleration for GPU nodes for GPU workloads?
Well, okay, for like for one of the node, like I'll be like using like is for taint and toleration here. Like I'll be applying a taint to a single node in that particular node pool. Not for all, because there should be like any one node should be present at a time. And yeah, like this I'll be doing specifically, like if I need to have any at least one node up available for that particular GPU usage.
Okay. Now suppose Kubernetes, there is a Kubernetes GPU pod, and it's requesting, and the request what we have added is 16 GB of RAM. Okay. Now due to fragmentation, it gets allocated only 12 GB. Okay. How
Okay.
will you detect and fix it in real time?
Okay, if my deployment is using the Helm or any of the like I use Helm, so like I'll be going to the values.yaml file, and like using there will be particular defined which are the nodes which is tainted. So I'll be reviewing that particular statement and then again redeploy it, just for immediate check to whether the services are running or not. So like using this, I can like do a toleration for that particular deployment on that particular node. But that should not be best, that should not be a best practice, because we have to implement what are the deployments will be running on what nodes. But for immediate basis to check it, like we can use this strategy as well, which I also use to check the things which are running or not, and like then later on creating the specific use of taint and toleration.
Okay. Now suppose in your monitoring stack, your alert manager is down
Okay.
and you haven't received, how will you identify, and you are not receiving alerts since one day? Okay. So how will you detect that your alert manager is down?
Okay, how, I mean, do I need to check where it is down, or how it got down, like where?
I mean, what will be your future course of action that your alert manager was down and you aren't notified about this? Since previously what had happened, for one day your alert manager was down and you didn't receive alerts. Suddenly one of your teammate goes inside and see that your alert manager was inactive. Okay. It's a simple systemctl status alert manager dot service. So since your alert manager was down, you didn't receive alerts, and when you enabled, you received alerts. So your future course of action, what it would be, so that you check on that your alert manager. How will you? I mean, how will you detect that your alert manager is down or not? Service is down or not? What will be your course to set up alert on this? What will be your course to set up? What kind of things will you implement that will help you to know that whether the service inside running inside an EC2 is down or not?
Okay, so this will not be an ideal fix, but I'll be creating a cron which will be checking for that particular alert manager service, and like if any of if the return is positive, then the cron will be executed. If not, the service is failed, is not in stopped state, it will be starting the service again, then pushing up SMTP using the SMTP protocol. It will be triggering the mail and be sending. So like using this, like we can check, we cannot we not state, but using this a backend script will be running in every 1 hour. Like we can set a cron, then we can check where the service is running. If not, we it automatically enables the service as well. And but this is not the best practice. Again, like this is for the quick fixes where I can check all the things. And like we can check the alert manager logs as well, for particular in the for the monitoring stack we will be having everything in monitoring namespace. So we'll be checking the logs on the events of the alert measure, what exactly failed that particular service, what and like depending upon the error, we will be definitely creating the measures so that the same thing won't happen again. And again we will be creating another dashboard again, if required, for that particular alert manager service. As alert manager is like is a crucial way, like we get the alerts. If there are no alert manager, we won't be getting any of the alerts for our application. So definitely we will be creating a trigger as well. So if any time the alert manager service fails, we will be having a script to run again and start it. And that too will be giving us the SMTP alerts through the mails as well. So like this is how we have defined here in our application.
Hmm. Okay.